Hello and welcome to White City Connect. Welcome to all the occupiers of White City Place. It's really nice to have this platform to engage every week. And my videos are all about meditation, and I like to make meditation accessible for everybody. So if you're just joining me, as in this is your first meditation session with me, what I tend to do is talk a little bit about some of the ideas around meditation. I like to blow away the myths of meditation, and then I guide you through a meditation as well. And there's always a couple of points that are worth repeating every week, and they are one is that why do we meditate? So we meditate so that we can learn to respond to life's situations rather than react. So if you think about that with a knee-jerk reaction to life versus a time when you've had a moment to think about it before you react, and therefore you respond in a way that is a better interpretation of yourself, or in a fairer way. So it's really allowing time for our nervous system to calm a little bit before we respond to situations. So we meditate to respond rather than react. But we also meditate for clarity, for better sleep, to make sense of the world, especially at the moment with the ever-changing situation that's going on, and also to react better with other people, so it builds our empathy levels as well and puts us in a good place. I like to meditate to try and maintain a clear mind, especially when it could be very chaotic. I'll share with you that I am actually right in the middle of moving house today. But I was super happy to do this because it would then force me to sit and relax and take time out. And that's what everyone really should be doing, taking just a little bit of time out of their day, even when you feel the pressure. It would be very easy for me to say, oh, no, I'm moving house, there's too much to do. But that's what meditation is like. You have to create the time. If you've got time to eat, if you've got time to shower. Sorry, the screen keeps going a bit dark. I think it might be the light changing in this room, so I apologize for that. You're not going to need to worry about that once you meditate anyway. So I'm in my new place. All the boxes are not unpacked. There's still lots of cleaning to do back at the old place. But I'd much rather just be here with you guys and going to a nice meditation, which is what we're going to do. So we learn to meditate to respond rather than react. The other thing is that people quite often say, oh, I can't meditate because I have a monkey mind. My mind's too busy. I can't sit still. All those things. That's the whole point. It's really when you notice that you're having thoughts, because this is a really key thing that comes up a lot. People say, I just can't stop. I've been meditating for a while. I can't stop the thoughts, And then they've heard things that you have to empty your mind. You don't need to empty your mind. Your brain is designed to think. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful part of your body. And I say part of your body because it's really nice not to separate the head and the body. They do all work together. And an idea of that would be when I tell you that your heart sends more messages to your brain than your brain sends to your heart. That's a scientific fact. So, and also you have a big, long vagus nerve, which runs from your skull, the brain, right all the way down to your gut. And that's a two-way system where your gut talks to your brain and your brain talks to your gut. So again, it's a mind-body connection. So your brain also, try not to think of it as an isolated place, i.e. in the top of your body, in your head, and there it sits. Don't think of it in isolation. Think of it as part of the body as well. But also, Your brain is separated into many different regions. There are 5 major regions, and they all have different little nuances and different things that they do. You don't need to know what they all are, but just know that everything is working in a kind of mechanical way. And when you learn that different parts of your brain light up through meditation, and by that, I don't mean that one part of your brain lights up when you're meditating. You might be meditating in a compassionate way, and that might light up one part of your brain. Whereas you might be meditating in just a breath focus way, and that would actually light up a different part of your brain. So it's really interesting, I think, to know that. And then you don't put all the emphasis on this one big organ at the top of your body that sometimes feels like it's controlling you. You are the captain of your ship, and you can steer the boat whichever way you want to go. But like anything, if you went onto a ship and tried to be the captain, you'd have had to have learned the ropes. Quite literally, that's where the expression comes from, learn the ropes. So it's the same with meditation. You can't just expect to arrive. You have to practice. Now, the other thing is because neurotransmitters operate in your brain and they send messages to each other in different parts of your brain and your cells and your endorphins, your emotional centers, all of that goes on gazillions of times a second. But because of that, when you know that it's a process, then it's easy to understand that when you see something, let's just talk about what we see. When we perceive something in a certain way, um, we send that message to our brain. So the eyes see it first, they send a message into the head, and the brain sorts out the message from the eyes, from what you're seeing, the occipital lobe. So it makes sense of what you have seen out there in the world. And then you decide, you know, whether how you're going to perceive that thing that you've seen. So let's just say your idea of beauty might be different to mine. I have this with my husband actually. We have very different ideas on flowers, for example. I like the old, I like the I'm quite a modern person, but I really like the old-fashioned flowers. I love the old peonies and the big roses and all that kind of thing. Whereas my husband likes the big kind of masculine, jagged sort of, bird of paradise, which are beautiful. But he'll always go for that kind of, spiky, sharp-ended, stick-looking uh, flowers. And neither of us is right. It's just that we have different perceptions. So whatever your perception is, you then start to build these neurotransmitters that support your idea of the world. So, I've gone dark again. Here we are. Yeah, and why am I telling you all this? I guess really because it's interesting when you know that what you see and how you perceive life is then what happens to the messages in your brain. You're kind of like the conductor of an orchestra. It's probably a better analogy, actually. So think about you being a conductor of an orchestra, and you decide when the violins play, when the cello plays, when the piano kicks in, when the trumpet goes, the saxophonist. You can decide all that. So it's really good to know that you can change the workings of your brain dependent on how you perceive life. And you can train yourself to perceive life in a more positive way through meditation. I hope that all makes some sense to you. There's so many layers to meditation, and if you want to explore more layers, please do look back at some of the older videos on this platform that I've done, because I do cover different things every week, and I'll be here for the next few weeks as well. So we'll be covering different ideas every time I come on. So, okay, so the monkey mind, that was one of the things that I started mentioning, and I went off on a tangent, didn't I? But with the monkey mind, I guess my idea about explaining all of that, about the brain's controls, is that you can train your mind to slow down. I'm not saying forget all your thoughts. I'm not saying clear your mind. I'm not saying empty your head. I'm just saying slow down. To when you get to the point of like when we do meditate, we notice you're having thoughts. Noticing you're having thoughts is great. That's the first step to meditating. Because that's a little bit like you stepping outside of yourself like a third party and going, oh, okay, I can see that I'm having those thoughts. So that awareness is the first step to learning how to meditate. Just being aware of that, because once you're aware of something, you can deal with it, right? If you weren't aware of it, the difference would be that you would have a thought come in. I'll give you an idea. So let's just say a police siren went past my window now. I could just go, okay, there's a police siren, and go back to my breath. Let's just say we're focusing on the breath, sound goes by, police siren, and I go, okay, whatever, I go back to my breath. That's me being aware that I've had this thought, I've been distracted, and I'm reminding myself to go back to my breath. The other side of the coin would be if I heard a police siren go by, and I go, oh, there's a police siren, God, that's the second today. Oh, I think there's another one coming. Golly, oh, that's 3. So I wonder what's happening up the road. I wonder if there's, if there's violence, or if there's a fire, or maybe it's some poor person with COVID. Your brain can go crazy, and there I have lost minutes of my time or seconds of valuable time just thinking about what that siren meant when it went past. Might have been absolutely nothing. I had no reason to even think about it. So you kind of get stuck down the rabbit hole, and you tumble down the rabbit hole with these thoughts, and before you know it, you've come to the end of your meditation session and you've been lost in space. So that's why I make the point of, if you notice you're having thoughts, great, well done, good for you. It shows that you're aware of it, and then you can change it and just come back to your focus. So please don't worry about that. And what you're trying to do when you have thoughts, and we all have them. I have them when I start meditating. I've been meditating for years. I'm not going to just suddenly switch my brain into a blank canvas. That just would be weird, But what I do try and do is try and stop the urgency of the thoughts. I try and stop the flow. I try and just kind of create a little bit of space between the thoughts by reminding myself to come back to my focus. And then what you're trying to do is you're trying to extend the space between your thoughts. So let's just say you have a thought over here, and then you have your meditation for a little bit, and then you get another thought come in. You go, oh, no, back to my meditation. You go a little bit more further along. Then you have another thought come in, and you go, no, back to my meditation. Go along a little bit more. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to extend the space between those thoughts. So that's the idea. It's not about getting rid of the thoughts. It's about extending the space of meditation between those thoughts. The last thing I want to say is that your breath follows your mind, and your mind follows your breath. And if you're unsure what I mean about that, what I mean is, if you are in a panic situation, you're stressed, your breathing will be a lot shorter and quicker. So be shorter breaths at a faster speed. If you are relaxed, the opposite is true. You'll be having longer breaths at a slower speed. That's really all that it means. But when we say that the two follow each other, it's been tested scientifically. If you, even if you weren't stressed and you just started breathing really, really quickly, it can actually engage your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight. And sometimes that could be useful. If you needed to be really switched on for a really important meeting, some fast breathing in lots of oxygen and shorter exhales, then that would kind of set you up. You'd be kind of a little bit more clear-headed. But with the meditations, we're trying to kind of calm down the mind a little bit. So the opposite is true. We're trying to extend the exhale. So that's one way of doing it. If you breathe first, then your mind gets affected. Let's turn it around the other way. If I was watching something graphic, graphic violence on TV or something like that, then just seeing that might change my breathing to a faster state. Versus if I was watching some beautiful David Attenborough, natural world program, then my breathing would probably be more relaxed. So the two follow. That's all that you need to know about that. The breath follows the mind follows the breath. So if we slow down the breath, we'll slow down the mind. If we speed up the breath, we'll speed up the mind. It's as simple as that. All right, let's begin so that you get a nice little meditation session and I don't end up talking too much. So just get yourself comfortable, as I am just about to do. It's nice to have a straight back so that it's supported. So if you think about how you breathe, it's also really nice not to so much that your chest cavity is pressed a little bit. If you sit a little bit more straight, then your rib cage is going to be there's no judgment on yourself, just awareness. And then I want you to take your hands and just very gently take them onto your rib cage. So just at the bottom of your rib cage. And if you have your half your hand on the ribs and half your hand on the stomach, I'd like you just to breathe in so much that you can feel the ribs expanding and the stomach also moving. That's just to create the space also for the ribs. Breathing in and breathing out. Simple as that. Just nice and easy, just noticing that. So breathing all the way into the ribs and out again. If you can breathe through your nose, that's ideal. If you're a little bit bunged up and you find that you can do half of it through the nose, then just try breathing out through the mouth. If you're totally bunged up, then of course you're going to have to breathe through the mouth. But any training you can do to breathe through the nose would be really useful for you. So many health benefits breathing through the nose, in and out. If it's comfortable to keep your hands there, do. If not, you can just drop your hands again. Now I want you to continue that style of breath so you can feel your ribs expanding. Not too much effort. I don't need to sort of really fill yourself up so you feel like you're going to burst and then, oh, let it go again. Just a kind of midway part, but just where you can kind of feel the ribs expanding. And we're going to count in for 5 and out for 5. So we're keeping both sides even. I will count you in a moment. But just while you're doing it, I want you to just notice the timing of your breath. So you might find the first few that you do, in order to keep them even-sided, you might have to breathe in quicker or out slower or breathe out faster to kind of get to the end in time. So it might take you a few goes of that even-sided breath to get the balance right. Alrighty, so I'll just do the first one with you. So breathe out everything that you have now. So just let go of everything else with your out breath. Push out the last bit of breath. And then when you're ready, breathing into the nose if you can. 2, 3, 4, 5. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5. And in. 2. Keep going. Yourself. Just keep going. And again, noticing the texture of the breath because you're counting. You might notice that it feels kind of stepped a little bit. See if you can count, but still keep the breath smooth, as if it's just kind of gliding in and out of your body. It's a bit of a challenge. If any thoughts come into your mind, that's fine, doesn't matter. Just remember you've got this 5 count going on. You just come back to that. We'll just take 2 more cycles of this in and out breath. Take your time, don't rush it. Always honor your breath. Finish every breath. When you finish, and don't rush, just make sure you do finish your out breath. Just allowing yourself to sit in silence for a moment. Just take the focus to the back of your eyelids. You can let go of the counting. Just staring at the back of your eyelids, seeing what comes up there. It might be nothing, it just might be a dull shade. We might have bright colors. Might be different shapes going on behind your eyelids. While you're relaxing here with no conscious breath, just breathing normally, just check in on your breath, just see how it is now. It's doing its miraculous work of breathing for you without you having to do anything. So just noticing what that's like when you let go of the conscious breath. Now we're going to do a little bit of a body scan. So when I mention a part of your body, I'd like you to try and soften it a bit more, or just take your attention there so that you can sense where it is. And when I get to your fingers, try not to move your fingers. There's always a tendency, if I say, index finger, you might move your index finger. Just try and sense where your fingers are in space. See if you can feel them without moving them. But we'll get to that point in a moment. All right, so here we go. I'm going to start with your right foot, your right heel, your right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, little baby toe, your right ankle, easing there, softening it, your right calf, the muscles there, your right shin, the bone, the skin, your right knee, below your knee, above the knee, and behind the knee, inside the kneecap. Lots of tiny little muscles softening it. And then moving on to your left foot, your left heel, your left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, little toe, your left ankle, easing, softening, your left calf muscles, softening, your left shin, the bone, the skin, tendons, softening, your left knee, behind it, below it, above it, all the tiny little muscles that support that joint, softening. Moving up to both of your hips. And then just starting at the sacrum, the bottom of your spine, and just trailing all the way, vertebra by vertebra, up the spine through the thoracic region, back of your chest, all the way up to the bottom of your neck. And then both your shoulder blades, your shoulders, your right upper arm, your right elbow, your right wrist. And if your palm isn't facing up, just rest your hands on your thighs, your lap, wherever they might be. Just have the palms facing up. So relaxing the wrist again on the right. Your right thumb, index finger, middle finger, fourth finger, little pinky finger. The palm of your hand, seeing if you can sense anything there, any tingling or weight, or just the skin that's exposed to the air. Transferring to your left shoulder, your left upper arm, your left elbow, your left wrist, the palm facing up, softening here. Your left thumb, your left index finger, middle finger, fourth finger, little finger. And now focus on the palm of your hand. Any sensations, any tingling, warmth, heaviness, or maybe just feeling the air. Noticing the sensations with just the hands. If there's no sensations, just feeling them resting on your lap. And I'm going to go back up to the back of your head. And I want you to trace the back of your head as if you're running your finger over your scalp, right up to the top, to the crown of your head. And then down the front, over the forehead, relaxing through the eyebrows, the eyelids, and the eyes, heavy in the sockets. And just noticing if your jaw is relaxed, softening there. The back of the tongue, just soft, the top of your throat. Front of your tongue, just sitting in the lower palate, resting there. Your collarbones, relaxed. And I want you to take your focus to your heart. And I want you to imagine that it is your heart that's breathing, as opposed to your lungs. So take the attention to your breath, and just like we did at the beginning, feel the chest expanding. You don't need to move your hands, you don't need to feel it now, you know how it feels. Feeling the chest expand and contract again, just on that exhale. So I want you to imagine every inhale coming into the heart space, expanding, and then just softening on the out breath. You can either stay with just imagining the rib cage opening each time, with the heart expanding on the inhale and then softening again on the out breath. Or if you want to, you can imagine every time you breathe in that your rib cage is a pair of wings. Big wingspan opening up, and then as you exhale, you can just feel the wings coming back down again, and then again, inhaling, opening them up. You could almost take flight. If you want to take flight, take flight. If you're happier just envisaging the rib cage expanding with the heart, then stick with that, whichever feels right for you. And whatever it is that's right for you, I just want you to get a sense, without counting, a sense of that breath that you did before with the 5 in and the 5 out, just so that you have an idea of how long each breath ideally should be. And just see if you can maintain that with this, maybe with this flight, or maybe just with the rib cage, whatever it is, it's still the same. Whether it's a wing expansion or the chest expanding, it's 5 on the in breath, and 5 on the out. See how long you can maintain that. If you did take flight, you might find yourself soaring over some rooftops or parkland or beach, sea. If you didn't take flight and you're just focusing on the chest, the ribcage expanding with the heart, then you can try and envisage a color inside the ribs. So maybe if you imagined a pink heart, you might imagine that pink taking over the whole of the ribcage as you breathe in and breathe out. So whatever you choose, it's your unique choice. Go with that, but just try and maintain that coherent breath in and out. If you find that when you're doing this, you want to hold the breath in at the top of that inhale, then do that. It's quite nice to hold on to that beautiful expansion, even just for a couple of beats, and then you can let it go again. Just take 2 more like this. And when you finish that second one, I'll just wait here, and just in case some of you a little bit need a bit more time. When you do finish that, just let go of any idea of counting or trying to expand the chest. Just come back to a little place of stillness again. Looking at the back of your eyelids. So keep your eyes closed, but what I'd like you to do is take your hands together and rub them really hard until you create some heat. So that your hands get really, really nice and hot until they're almost burning. And then I want you to cup your hands over your eyes. And just stare into that space. It's probably a little bit darker. Just looking into. You're still with your eyes closed, but as though your eyes are open and you're looking into that space, that dark space, and just dive into that. Just notice that the longer you look at it, it might change slightly like a kaleidoscope. It might fragment, it might not, and don't worry if it doesn't. It might fragment, you might see different things. The color might change a little bit. Just an observer. Now keep your eyes closed, and I'd like you to really slowly to slide your hands away from each other, really slowly. Let the hands come down by your sides. And just have a look at what you've created now at the back of your eyelids. It'll be a slightly different color. It'll be lighter because you've taken the hands away. Just noticing what's there behind the eyelids. It might even be shimmering a little. It might be a bit of movement. It might just be all one color. You might find that color start to really get deep and take over the whole of the eyelid space so much that you feel as though you are now engulfing yourself in this color, as if this color is extending beyond your head and actually enveloping your body like a big orb. So you feel like you're inside this beautiful, infinite color. And just taking in all its texture, its vibrancy, its different shapes, maybe, whatever it brings. And with that, just a little sense of peace, another little world that you have created that you can bring yourself to anytime. Noticing any sensations in your hands again, tingling, pins and needles maybe, or maybe not, doesn't matter if there's nothing. And then to bring yourself back into the room, just focus on any sounds again, any sounds at all. And then very gently, very slowly open your eyes, but just do it so gradually. You're just letting little fragments of light in slowly. It's really important to bring yourself out of meditation just as slowly as it takes you to go into it. Welcome back. I hope you enjoy that. I did. It's lovely to do that on a day that you're moving house. I recommend it. Yeah, just go easy. When I say that, when I said at the end of that meditation, you can take this anywhere. You can do this anytime. Just by sitting quietly, like we did just now. I think we meditated for about 25 minutes together. So if you want an idea of how long that was, that's about 25 minutes. So yeah, you can do this anytime you find the space, and it's always worthwhile. Resets you. I shall leave you with this, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you so much for being here.